Uncle Claude here, and as you know, we're not that far away from the NFL's beginning in I believe the first or second week of September, and it'll be 50 years since this team stepped on to the football field way, way back when. And this team, of course, is the 1974 Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a very significant team. Why? Is because it is the beginning of arguably the greatest dynasty in the Super Bowl era. And I know I'm going to hear talks about the 90s Dallas Cowboys. They won 3 championships. Of course, the San Francisco 49ers in the 80s, very, very fine football team. And they modeled themselves after the Steelers as well, but that's another story. And I will bring that up later on sometime, either this week or early next week. And of course, they'll talk about Tom Brady and the Patriots in football's modern era. And let's face it, you can also talk about Pat Mahomes and Kansas City, who's won 3 championships. And they're going to try to do something that not even this team was able to do, and that's win 3 straight Super Bowls. But the reason why this team is held in such high regards is because the Steelers did something no other team in pro football has ever done. Won back-to-back titles twice and won 4 championships in 6 years, making themselves the team of the 70s. And you can make an argument, and I definitely make the argument, that the Pittsburgh Steelers are the greatest team of all time. And they're this team is a big reason why I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and have been for 50 years. And this was not even their best team, but it was their first championship. And it taught them how to win. And you can see some of the guys in that picture. But the reason the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to win the Super Bowl back in 1974 was because they had the greatest draft class in the history of pro football. When you look at that draft class, and these are the guys that were actually drafted, there's another guy who's not pictured, and his name is Donnie Shell. He was a free agent, and he became a Hall of Famer. From left to right, Jack Lambert, who was chosen second overall by the Steelers. John Stallworth was the 4th round pick. If I'm not mistaken, Mike Webster was the 5th round pick. And the 1st round pick of the Steelers was number 88 from Southern California, one of my all-time favorites, Mr. Lynn Swann. These 4 guys are I will say 60% of the reason that the Steelers were 4-time Super Bowl champions. The reason I say 60% was, let's face it, Swann and Stallworth saved Bradshaw's bacon a lot of these times, because Bradshaw struggled to complete 50% of his passes a lot of those years. Lambert solidified the defense at the middle linebacker spot, which was the only spot that was considered a weakness on the defense, and he turned it into a strength. And of course, Mike Webster, you can make an argument, is the greatest center in NFL history. And again, there is no way I am forgetting Mr. Donnie Shell, who, when he retired, was the all-time interceptor at strong safety with 51 interceptions. And he retired back in 1987. And he had many of his best years after the Steel Curtain had retired, and the Steelers were no longer Super Bowl champions or contenders. But he played a huge part in those 4 Super Bowls, make no mistake about it. But we're not going to kid ourselves here. The cornerstones of the Pittsburgh Steelers were 2 men. The first one, of course, is the legendary Mean Joe Green, the greatest defensive tackle who ever played the sport. And yes, I'm including Aaron Donald, ladies and gentlemen. And the second cornerstone, of course, was the Pittsburgh Steelers superstar running back and the workhorse of the offense, Mr. Franco Harris. Those were the guys who the Steelers built their entire franchise around. And of course, it paid off with 4 Super Bowl championships. Now, those guys were the respective leaders on both sides of the ball. Because even though Bradshaw struggled until, let's say, about 1975, those two guys were the stalwarts. And they built around those two men. And the result, well, we just spoke on it. And thanks to a great 1974 draft class, the 2 cornerstones, and of course head coach Chuck Noll, the greatest dynasty of the Super Bowl era. And as you can see, the original triplets, I understand that Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin won 3, but those guys fell one short of these 3 guys. I had to needle my Cowboy fans, and one in particular, of course. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. UncleClaude signing out. Take care, stay safe, and God bless, and looking forward to another great football season starring the Pittsburgh Steelers.